man, if she's malleable or teachable, man, you might want to look at her as a valuable option or stick with her. Let's talk about it.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave like everyone else. You were born into bondage. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
All praise to the Most High Yah Shalom. Thank you for tuning in to another righteous, Ruach, spirit-filled episode of The Set Apart Man, the channel where we teach men how to live set apart, how to be more obedient to the word of the Most High Yah, and how to navigate this wicked world according to righteousness. You know, man, I want men out there that are desiring marriage, desiring biblical marriage, desiring having a wife, starting a family, or you're courting a woman and you're on the verge of making a decision. Does she pass the cut? You know, does she have what it takes? Man, I want men to realize in the last days when we read biblically, you know, it details that things are going to get worse. It doesn't read everything is going to be all peachy. It's going to be all peaches and cream. You know, you read in Matthew 24 and it details what that end times looks like. When we read biblically and we see in the last days, people will be lovers of self and, you know, covetous, all of this, sexually immoral, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of good. Man, there's not going to be this abundance of virtuous women out here, okay? The society that we live in, the culture that we live in, you know, allows these women who move in diva energy, you know, having origins of idolatry. One thing about these women moving in diva energy is you can't tell them nothing. They don't want to be molded. It's what I'm presenting you as a man. This is good as it gets. I'm not willing to grow. You ain't going to be able to tell me about myself. Take it or leave it. Brothers, man, we're witnessing a generation of women that a lot of which are not malleable. Malleable is in correlation to teachable. Malleable refers to a piece of metal that can be struck with a hammer, molded, shaped, and formed without cracking or breaking. Many of the women that you come across that are very vain, which is very common. I'm talking about the fake hair, the face full of makeup, you know, the long eyelashes, the long nails, the weaves, the wigs, you know, I got to get my body enhanced, you know, my booty, my body, you know, leading with that worthless beauty. Men, those are the women that are not teachable. Those are the women that aren't malleable. But man, there are some sisters out here. You know what, man? They don't move like divas, man. They're very simple. They're the ones that harness the true feminine spirit, the feminine from the inside. Not this world perspective of femininity being dolled up and all. No. Brothers, man, there are some sisters out here that are teachable, that are malleable. And I want you to understand, don't let these single men, podcast hosts, you know, these men out here that live in fornication tell you to avoid marriage while you sitting around or potentially missing out on a woman who is a great, foundation to start with, to build with, to marry, because she's malleable, because she's teachable. Okay, man, before I go any deeper, man, I need every brother out there to hit that like button. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're serious about your journey of being a set apart man, and let me know in the comments about a woman that you were entertaining or courting, and she had some areas that she was very good in, but she just wasn't malleable. She just wasn't teachable. Let me know down in the comments, man. Let's start the dialogue. Iron sharpens iron. When you look at a woman who is unaccountable, oftentimes what you're doing is pointing out something that is not satisfactory to your standard, something that is subpar about her behavior, her character, her actions, her conduct, and you're calling her out with the intent not to persecute her, but to, see if she is willing to say, you know what, I never saw it like that, but I'm gonna do better. And a woman that is malleable, man, she wants feedback, man. If you see me not doing something according to your expectations, let me know so I can correct it. Man, that's a malleable woman. That's a teachable woman. A lot of these women, the minute you give them correction, which is the function of a man, to wash his woman with the word. Oh no, who are you correcting me? Oh, you insecure, you got a little pee-pee, or you must be, gay like men. All kind of, they take it as an attack because the spirit in them is rebellious. You have to think there is no humility. Brothers, you got to stop looking at these women on Instagram. Just check out of these internet personality or these women that present this very vain beauty, but oftentimes lack character. Man, you got to check out of that, because you may be overlooking a woman who is willing to be molded. Okay, you have to think why a virgin is very precious in the sight of the Most High. The reason that is because she's a clean slate. She represents purity. You have to think, man, a promiscuous, very sexually immoral woman who has been out there, I don't give a dang whether her body count is 5 or it's 100. If that body count is the result of fornication, you're gonna have some problems with her being teachable, with her being malleable. She's gonna have some issues of rebellion, and that's not a good starting point. But if you come across a woman who, when you give her feedback, when you give her constructive criticism, and you're telling her the truth, and the truth hurts sometimes, but when you're giving her this feedback, she looks at you with such respect and great esteem that she's looking at it like, man, this is a mentor telling me something so I can improve and be great. Not a woman that feels intact because you are giving her constructive criticism. Man, it's hard to be equally yoked with an unaccountable woman, because she doesn't see the union as a team. She don't see y'all as one flesh. But brothers, man, like, I want you to think, man, you got a woman who's a diva, okay? In her mind, she's a 10. On social media and all these filters and caked up and dolled up, she's a 10 to the world. But man, when you're having issues of correcting her and you got some behavioral issues that she feels like, I don't feel like I need to change it. Wait a minute. Man, what is the value of that so-called beauty then? When she's working your nerves, when you're like, man, I can't get through to this woman with her thick skull. What is the value of her beauty? What is the value of her sex? What is the value of her presence in that moment? See, when you have a woman who is teachable and malleable, man, she'll put the shut to the up. She'll put the shut to the up out of great respect, which is righteous. Out of great respect for you. Men, don't overlook these women. I'm telling you, in the last days, stop looking for women that are perfect. You yourself are nowhere near perfect. That's why the book tells you to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. You got work to do. You got learning to do. And as you learn, as you grow, spiritually mature, mentally mature, physically mature, financially mature, as you follow Yahshua, man, you want a woman that you can pour into. You got to think, man, some of these women are like, busted sandbags. If you know what a sandbag is, it's used to make berries and you put sand in it. But if you've been around sandbags that are weathered, have been out in the world, sometimes they get busted and you try to fill them up with sand and they just fall through. You can't pour in to a lot of these women due to their previous choices. It's not your preferences. It's not the instructions or the criticism you're giving them. It's just they cannot internalize properly the criticism, the feedback, the conversation, the guidance, the leadership. They're busted sandbag. It's like trying to pour liquid in, like a woman's got a hole in a cup, but she's like, fill me up, and you're pouring in and it's just falling through. You're not seeing any growth. And it's because a lot of these decisions, it's the mindset, it's the spiritual condition. But brothers, man, you come across a woman, the world might say she's a 4. The world might say she's a 3. But man, that being malleable, being teachable, being cooperative with you, man, bro, that elevates that. You gonna find that sexy. You gonna find that attractive. You will, a spiritually mature man, bro, is gonna look and see character, see virtue, see morals, behavior, conduct. You're looking at that's attractive. Finding a woman like that, you got to think, man, beauty is a diamond. You throw a rock and hit a woman who, I'm a 10, throw another rock, hit another woman. But you're going to have some issues with them being malleable because, man, they have packaged themselves up to let you know, man, this vanity is to represent the highest point at which I'm willing to go. And if that ain't good enough, so be it. And you had to have that same mindset. If you're currently with a woman and she's teachable, she's rocking with you, you can tell her something, bro, and she don't give you all that mouth and she receives it. She can silence herself, tame her tongue. And then thank you for the leadership that you're giving her and pour into her on a consistent basis as you shape her and mold her into the woman that you desire, the woman that is gonna be a helpmeet. Man, bro, you need to stay with her, man. That's your option right there. Don't even think about what you're missing out on. Oh man, because these other women out here, man, they're going to sell, beauty. They're gonna sell things that are worthless in the union of a relationship, in the union of marriage. But I tell you, man, you get a woman that it's like a teacher would want to teach a student that is teachable, rather than having a student that is unteachable. And it's sad because some of these women, in their mindset, in their own success, man, they are great versions of female males, but they think they're supposed to be in the position to teach, to lead. You cannot teach, or you're not going to see the malleableness of a masculine woman. She's already out of pocket in mindset, spiritually. Man, you come across a teachable woman, you got to think, man, she may not know the ways of righteousness, but man, she's willing to learn. You got to think, the book said, man, there were strangers amongst Yashrael. One law, for the homeborn and the stranger. You got women out there that's willing to learn, willing to be taught. They want to be molded, want to be shaped. But oftentimes, man, men are distracted on all of this stuff that really don't matter. Oh, she's got the big booty and she's freaky and she let me hit it before marriage. A woman that's teachable and malleable is going to present herself in a different way. You can't expect the mindset and the behaviors and the conduct of a harlot and be liking that, but then expect that same conduct, personality, behavior of the harlot to be malleable and teachable. It just doesn't work like that. That's why those relationships don't work out. Once again, this is the Set Apart Man, kicking that thing gun barrel straight. Until next time, stay set apart, stay disciplined, stay in the word of the Most High Yahweh.